I'm very excited to be able to talk about our project that has been a continuous project since 2005. And we have been able to survive all kinds of paradigm schisms from different governments that we have. We are being subsidized by the Flemish government, by the province of Vlaams-Brabant, and by the municipality of Doorn. So three governments, and they all have their own changes, and we were able to conceive one thing just because we did keep on our core and kept our course starting out of the legacy and the will of an artist, Felix the Book. And so as you see, FeliXart, FeliXeco, an integrated heritage ensemble, well, that was the title, but actually it should have a question mark behind it, because it is still a project in progress, in process, and well, this whole intangible heritage discussions comes right on the spot for us, and brought up maybe our possibilities and also our attitude changes that we will need. Our starting points. Very quickly, I will go very quickly over this because I'm also very excited because I took up the challenge with some colleagues that I talked before, that this is a PowerPoint of 69 slides, and I will be able to do that in 10 minutes. But don't worry, there's a lot of images. One, don't read the text, just listen to me, and don't blink with your eyes, then you will not lose anything. The showcase of our museum is Felix the Book, who was an avant-garde painter and a farmer. This was in the 20s, and this whole historical avant-garde movement provided also abstraction that had to do also with another kind of living. So they were anti-capitalists, they were anarchists, they didn't work with gallerists, they had mistrust of museums, and they tried to create and build a new world based on rational forms. On the other hand, that's why Felix the Book maintained his life as a farmer so as to be independent from this rat race of capitalism. So you here see both things. So there is a donation, like I just said, and his will stipulated that a museum would be built where his work would be shown, and that there would be also the values of his life based in his form. That's a very important sentence for us, and while I'll show you some of the works that he did in the 20s, I also show you these values, his life, the farm, and the farm in the present, which is being restored right now, an orchard. And in 2005, we did get a recognition from the Flemish community, but with very much question marks around it, and because of the normal discussions that monographic museums have. So we started to change our mission, and our mission is to promote the art and spiritual heritage of the book. You see downstairs, you see actually we created 2 tracks, but I will make it more visible with this. So on the one side, we have the art, more objective kind of work around the new museum building, and then an ecology track on what the farm and what the orchard is. These 2 things should create a unique selling proposition, to use a neoliberal term, economic term. We need to provide this kind of text, right, in order to get money. So, 2-trace policy in an integrated heritage ensemble. Heritage ensemble means that there are 2 different logics of heritage kinds of working with. So this is a monographic showcase before. I go very quick. I would really love to show you what we did and how we were able as a small museum to get to national TV and to have really nice articles and to create a whole new handling on our artists with different kind of projects, not only in the museum but also on the orchard. This created this kind of let's say, a better public reach. These are the paying things. We are a small museum, a regional museum, and as you can see, this effort of going from monographic to thematic did have a good thing. So now I would like to draw more to the political side of this whole. So there is a history of top-down sensitization towards participatory heritage practices in ICH in Belgium. To start with this, you have to understand that we have a language problem in Belgium, if you are not aware of this. So it's not like we are an integrated thing. We are two different communities and a very complex country. A country where, for instance, monuments are not part of the normal heritage because that is the region, and the region is about the ground, and the communities is about the personal matters, about culture, and so on. So this is the complexity, and as you see, Brussels has a very specific role in this, and Drogenbos, where this museum has been created, is on the outskirts of Brussels, but it's not Brussels, it's Vlaanderen. It's Vlaams-Brabant, and so that means that we have a big museum created specifically for the purpose to show that Vlaanderen is here and will stay here. So that creates a kind of very particular thing. So I'll just go very quickly on this. It actually comes down to the fact that right now, from the first minister I knew until now, there has been one line of appeal to participatory projects. And this is actually a conjunction, this is my analysis, of on the one hand an internal heritage, professional-driven discussion about what is heritage, and it should be more intangible, and we don't like icon definition and so on. And on the other hand, this neoliberal thing of we need you to have more visitors. And these two things come together, and this is why, where intangible heritage everywhere in the world is being seen as a bottom-up thing, in Belgium, in Flanders, it is a top-down thing. So you can see that next to the functions we have, the normal museum things, there are terms being used, and I might have translated it badly because I'm newbie in this forum of intangible heritage. The terms from intangible heritage has been promoted within our structures. So for who are we doing this participatory thing? Well, this is a management question, and you see Belgium is very small, so if you put 10 kilometers around our institution, we are really talking about the Brussels agglomeration, and if you put 60 kilometers, it's really, that's the whole country almost. So we did create this kind of contrasting things, because we have two poles. On the one hand, we have art and ecology, and then on the other hand, research and participation. So we didn't make a SWOT analysis, and we just placed here the stakeholders. So we have the expert committee of museums that actually now is coming more closer to this participatory sense, and there are some people here who are in my commission. And we have a municipality of Drogenbos, which is more in the participation and ecology interested thing. We did that as well to our groups. We did that as well to our program. We did this as well to the collaborations we were creating. And you see a question mark there because as it was in 2014, Erf Goedsel en Regionaal Landschap asked, why is there no program in more research on the ecology part? And this is what the base was of our new plan for the next 5 years. And then you see that they are the partners that will create on the nature side and on the sense of broader heritage to implement more research on that space. What we have done until now, very quickly, this is a creational thing. We have found a stone, millstone from the Roman time. This was used to just introduce the idea of heritage. All the different children of Drogenbos were allowed to bring their own objects, and just to teach them that we are just peasants in this world, and just take time and place for quite a while. This is also a way to work around this multi-diversity in the outskirts of Belgium. We have, of Brussels, we have the farm. The farm is being restored. There will be one part with reconstruction of his home, and there will be multifunctional rooms that have no clear mission right now, because we want to implement that together with these partners that we're working with. But we do already little small things in the way of the restoration being done, and of course educationally wise we have a lot of things that we can do. We have a big ecology path. This is the original setting, and together with the partners we were able to double the size of our ecology project. So the orchard is now double the size, and there are places where other associations also can work around. One of them is, I'll go very quickly, one of them is, for instance, the Erfgoed cell. With them we kept all the industrial heritage of the region, and the testimonies and all these recordings are being kept on our servers. So we are the ones who are keeping that, but it is their project that we facilitated place, we facilitated also material. We had made at the same time also a project where we talked about the future of the region, where the industry would go through, how are we going to work and live in that same region. So that was at the same moment. So I think it comes close to topics we talked about today. Also a very specific partner, RISO, who works around child poverty and community building. And they are a very powerful ally for us, and they even created a kind of a shared economy based on our own valuta that is called Felix. So you can see that they are being inspired by our main core collection. Well, yesterday I saw someone who was drinking from this water, who was very reactive not to work together with museums. Well, this would be something that would perfectly fit within what we are doing without invading their goals and without us going too far from our core, since he was a farmer who had this kind of things. We also have historical Archers Guild, and here we come to the core of the problematic situation. All these different associations, they are all funded by the Flemish government, and their projects can thus not be translated to the French and English-speaking communities around us. There are maybe 20 Dutch-speaking persons in Germany. All the rest we cannot reach. So we are translating. I'm making money for my museum, translating the projects of these associations. This Archers Guild is a very old one, and they are only Dutch, and we want to convince them to recreate and to make a new tradition, to include other people. It's a very difficult process, because they are very, very verlinkend, as they say, and we are going to do it with them or without them, because we believe that this is the kind of thing that will be create an inclusive but you have to understand that this duplicity I created was made, and I'll just go to the last thing. These two tracks are actually talking about different kinds of collections that go from object-driven to this ICH intended heritage thing. And we can provide in a museum a more objective, purely museum kind of work, and there I don't care about how much visitors we get. I do want to have my visitors from the track too, and the question is, how are we going to implement and mix both? How far are we as a team going to create an attitude that the participatory museum side of it, the farm side of it, will also influence our track 1. That, in short, is the story of FeliXart Museum. I think I passed the 10, 11 minutes.